somewhere in the Caribbean 2001.
You know that spine-chilling sensation that paralyzes you even when you know you're safe? I felt that when my friends and I decided to camp at that deserted beach. The idea was simple: escape the routine, enjoy nature, and of course, have a good time around the campfire. Little did I know that those laughs would turn into stifled screams of terror. The first night started off calm. The sound of the waves crashing on the beach should have been comforting, but for some reason, it only heightened my anxiety. We were all relaxing when, suddenly, I saw a flashlight flickering in the distance. "Do you see that?" I asked, trying not to sound terrified. Everyone looked in the direction I was pointing and confirmed. "It must be someone lost," Joao suggested, always trying to stay calm. We decided to investigate. After all, that's what any decent person would do, right? We grabbed our flashlights and started walking along the sand. The darkness of the night seemed to envelop us, and each step felt heavier than the last. The sound of the waves, which had once been comforting, now seemed like a sinister murmur, whispering secrets I'd rather not hear. As we got closer to the light, it flickered more intensely, as if it was calling us, but at the same time warning us to keep our distance. We walked in silence, each lost in their own thoughts. I could feel my heart racing, and every snap of a twig or distant sound made us all look around, searching for the source of the noise. The flashlight ahead kept flickering, a fragile point of light in the vastness of the night. "Could it be a fisherman?" Honor suggested, trying to ease the tension. But something inside me said that wasn't it. There was something wrong. As we approached, the unexpected happened. The flashlight simply went out. We stood frozen, shocked by surprise and fear. "This isn't normal," Carla murmured, her voice trembling. We tried to find any clue, but there was nothing, just relentless darkness and the sound of the waves. We decided to head back to the camp, our nerves on edge. The return walk was even tenser. Every shadow seemed to move. Every sound seemed like a threatening whisper. When we finally saw our tents, a temporary relief washed over us. Little did we know, the real terror was yet to come. The next morning, the rising sun brought a horrifying sight. Around our tents, there were footprints. Lots of footprints. They were from someone barefoot and were scattered all over, surrounding our camp as if someone had been watching us all night. "Who did this?" Lucas yelled, his voice filled with panic and anger. But there was no answer. We looked around, searching for any sign of another person, but we were alone. Absolutely alone. The feeling of being watched returned with full force, and I knew this would just be the first of many nights of terror. Daybreak at the beach usually means calm and serenity, but that morning was different. The sunlight revealed something that filled us with dread. The footprints around our tents were clear, imprinted in the sand like shadows of an invisible presence. "This can't be real," Honor murmured, wide-eyed. "Who walked around here while we were sleeping?" We tried to stay calm, but it was impossible to ignore the growing fear. The beach was deserted. There were no traces of anyone else. Joao, always the most rational, suggested that maybe we were all dreaming. But those footprints, they were as real as the sand beneath our feet. "We should leave," Lucas said, his voice filled with panic. "This isn't safe." But Joao insisted on staying. "Let's investigate further. It might be a cruel joke." Reluctantly, we decided to spend one more night trying to find some rational explanation. During the day, we stayed together, not straying far from each other. Every sound, every movement was watched with paranoid attention. The sun that once warmed us now seemed to mock our helplessness. When night fell, fear set in again. We decided to take turns keeping watch, but the exhaustion and fear were so intense that it was hard to keep our eyes open. At some point, we all ended up falling asleep. I woke up to a strange sound, like footsteps in the sand, but this time they were different, softer, almost inaudible. I looked around, and everyone seemed to be sleeping deeply. A chill ran down my spine. It felt like we were being watched again. Suddenly, I heard a whisper, a faint sound that seemed to come from all directions. "Get out of here," it repeated. I woke the others, and we all became alert, eyes wide with fear. João tried to calm everyone. It must be the wind, or our imagination. But then, we saw it. At the edge of our camp, a dark figure stood out in the darkness. It was impossible to make out its face, but the flashlight it was carrying flickered like the one from the previous night. "Who's there?" Carla shouted, her voice trembling with terror. The figure didn't respond, just stood there, motionless, watching. The tension was unbearable. We decided it was time to leave immediately. We began to frantically pack up the tents, never taking our eyes off that unsettling presence. As soon as we finished, the figure vanished. There was no sound, no movement. It simply disappeared. With our hearts racing, we ran to the car and left as quickly as possible. The drive back was silent, each of us lost in our own thoughts and fears. To this day, we don't know who or what that figure was. The footprints, the flickering flashlight, the whispers, everything remains a mystery. The only thing we know is that we will never return to that deserted beach. And every time we hear the sound of the waves, a chill runs down our spines, reminding us of that night of terror.